everybody, it's Ruubin, and today I'm going to be telling you how to pick a server for World of Warcraft. A server is a computer or a computer program that basically stores all of the information that manages it in a central place so that you can access it. So we all love cereal, so this is you. You are the bowl, and the bowl is empty because you are trying to access some adventure with your bowl, right? And the server would be your favorite brand of cereal. So you have your cereal, and your cereal is the server. So the cereal is what holds all of the information, and you are trying to get the information out of the server and into your computer. So therefore you are going to pour your cereal into your bowl. That is the easiest way I can think of how to explain a server and how you're accessing a server. So basically in World of Warcraft or Blizzard calls servers realms, and they're kind of like your destiny points, your islands, or whatever home base that you decide that you're going to be on. And there's 3 different kinds of realms that you can pick. There is PvE, there is PvP, and there is RP. So we'll go with the easy ones first. PvE basically means player versus environment, or player versus monster. And this just means that it's kind of the more easy if you just like to play by yourself, or if you're just not really interested in the actual raiding dungeons, player versus player attacking other people. PvE is a great place for you to start, especially if you're just mostly interested in the quest idea of the game. So if you're mostly interested in just doing quests, PvE is a really good place to start, especially if you just don't want to encounter other characters that often, or if you don't want to actually play with other characters. That doesn't mean that you can't. You can on a PvE server. It's just more focused on It's just more focused on you as the player and your experience with the environment. The next thing is PvP. That means player versus player. And PvP is the most popular. It's pretty popular among most MMORPG games, because who doesn't want to play a game where they can play with or against other players? So the best thing about PvP is you can be in a PvP server if you want to actually encounter other players and beat and attack other players while you're actually playing quests. So if you're thinking of a PvE server where you're the player versus environment, you can actually do PvP raids, so that you're kind of like playing capture the flag. When you're on a PvP server, you can do PvP flagging, and that's not the same thing as capture the flag in an actual PvP raid game. PvP flagging basically means that you have the ability to tell the system, the actual video game, hey, I want to break from being attacked by other people, or hey, I'm going to be going into this other area and I don't want to be attacked by people at this time. So you can turn it on and off. I'm going to show you how to do that in this clip right here. PvP has actually changed a lot in World of Warcraft in the last, 10 years? Is that how long I've been playing this game now? So PvP, it used to be that when you're in a starting area, somebody at level 80 could come down into your starting area, you at level 5, level 10, and they could annihilate everybody. And it was kind of based on points, and we call that noob bashing now, where people go, especially experienced players, they go to other lower level areas and they just kill everybody just for the sake of it being fun. But it's also, and I mentioned this in my blog post about netiquette, it's also really discouraging to do noob bashing, because if we want the game to grow, we want our community of World of Warcraft players to grow, because that means that we get more expansion packs, we get more updates, you know, there's a future of World of Warcraft. But if we noob bash people, we're pretty much discouraging them from wanting to play, and so then all of this potential that we have is lost. Doing PvP, they've actually changed the rules quite a bit. So now when you're in a PvP server, or if you're a PvE server or any of those kind of things, they have the ability to kind of manipulate what you can attack. So it used to be a couple years ago, when you were doing PvP, that you would go and you're to your questing town, and you might be in Stormwind City, and you're there, and everybody's gone. Okay, Stormwind City was actually a really bad example, because if somebody annihilated all of the NPCs on a Stormwind server, that would be insane. But let's think about it, okay? So some level 110 person comes in, and they take out all of the NPCs. The respawn rate was really slow, so you would be standing there waiting to turn in all your quests for like 15 minutes. It was really discouraging. This was a couple expansions back. I think Cataclysm was when I had the most experience with it, and I stopped playing because I thought that was super annoying. Now, not only are the NPCs the same level as your top cap, they there's more of them. The respawn rate is a lot faster. So when that does happen, and if it does happen, it's not nearly as insane. But then you also have those really awesome people, those really awesome guilds that do go to those lower areas just kind of to manage the control and to kind of protect it. They're like the guardians of the galaxy, they're there to protect the little people, and I love every one of them. Finally, I want to talk about RP. RP stands for role-playing. This is the most serious server that you are going to encounter. That if you are a new player, I would strongly recommend that you do not start on an RP server. Role-playing servers are very serious about role-playing. That's kind of the point. So if you have no knowledge of the game whatsoever, if you have no knowledge in any kind of video game whatsoever, that is not a place to start. They will eat you alive. Because when you're in a role-playing server, you are your character. You are a blood elf. You are part of the Horde. You are in Orgrimmar, and you are there with that mission that you were on. And people are going to hold you accountable to knowing the facts, knowing about your history, and to respond in that kind of way. So if you're really into cosplay, I think role-playing is a really great field for those people, because if it's a great to just kind of interact. If you're really into Dungeons and Dragons and you like really getting involved in your character and being that character just to get away from all of this world we have around us, RP is it's really fun. It's a great server to be on. So why does all of this stuff matter? Basically, I'm going to go back to my serial discussion that we just talked about. So when you're on a server, when you're picking a server, that is the server that you're on, and there are dozens, hundreds of servers for World of Warcraft. So let's say that I decided that I wanted to be this server. Then if I wanted to interact with this server, like somebody on this server, if I wanted to trade with them or send them awesome things in the mail, it is likely that these two servers will not mix together. So when you're thinking about starting in the game and you're going to play with some friends, it's kind of a good idea to either tell them what realm you're on, or for you to figure out what realm they're already on, because it's likely that if you have like 500 gold, in my case, and I have my friend that just started, I can't give her any gold, and it's really frustrating because I would like to give her things to start her out with some really great things, but she's got to start over from scratch because she picked a different realm than I am on. So that doesn't mean that you're stuck there. You can pay to switch realms. There is there's an option to do that. You can pay to change your name. You can pay to change the faction that you're on. You can pay to change the character race that you are. You can pay to change anything. But if you don't want to have to pay, then it's a good idea to kind of have it planned out what server you want to play on, or what server you want to build your future guild family on. Now, Blizzard has been getting really good about this, and in the past, this was actually really frustrating because you were actually stuck playing dungeons and doing raids in dungeons with the people on your server. Now there's a thing called cross realms, and cross realms basically means that if I'm on this server and my friend's on this server, that there is a chance that they have crossed them together so that I can interact with them. So if you're in a guild, there's a likely chance that you can actually get other players from another realm. And they did this actually to expand the audience, so that when you are waiting, because the wait time for a dungeon used to be about 30 to 45 minutes, now you're only waiting a couple minutes because there's more servers that your server is connecting to. So they've been working on that. It's been a really slow process, but it's been a really awesome process. So keep that in mind, that if you are already on a server and your friend's like, well, I don't want to be on that one, I want to be on this one, you know, see if they're connected. The last thing I want to talk to you about is server population. There are different rankings for server population. You have your low, medium, high, and full, and your new player servers. So that might not actually seem like it matters, but it matters a ton, because I know from a lot of starter people, I've watched them do it, where they're more inclined to pick the new player servers or the low player servers, because they're like, well, I want to be able to get a feel for the game, but I don't want to embarrass myself in front of other people. That's completely understandable, totally understandable. But I would just like to say that I would recommend that you jump right in. Just get right in there and you throw yourself into a medium, high, or full server if you can, because that means that you're going to encounter more people, so that when you are struggling to figure out how the game works, there's going to be people that are going to be there that want to help you. I mean, for the most part, people that are playing this game, they want everyone to enjoy the game. They want to help. You know, the people that you encounter, there's not really as many as it seems. You know, they're kind of the loud squeaky wheels, but there's not very many of them. So if you're really struggling, you want to be on kind of a higher server, because that means if you go into chat and you say, hey, I cannot figure out this quest, I'm a new player, or hey, I just, you know, I don't know how to use this class yet, can anyone recommend what I do for, you know, Retribution Paladin, how do I heal with the Paladin? There's going to be people there that are really excited that you've asked those questions, and they'll be jumping to ask and answer and get to help you there. So that's why I would recommend a higher server. It used to be back in like the Lich King that the respawn rate for things was so slow, and that was why I would recommend a slower or a lower server, because that meant that when you went in and you were questing, that you get to that final boss, and sorry, my birds are just going crazy right now. They think I'm having a conversation with them. But basically that meant that when you were doing that boss, that you would be waiting in line with all these other people around you for the thing to respawn, and that's where you would meet a lot of you know, there would be like an unsaid wait list where you would be like, okay, that guy got here first, this girl was here next, I'm third, so I have to wait pretty much 15 minutes for the thing to respawn, and there might be some bag that just comes in and cuts in line and takes it because he's not aware that there's a wait list, right? So that has changed a lot in the last expansion pack, and I've really liked and I've really appreciated that. Things respawn so fast, like in a matter of seconds sometimes. And now it can be a little annoying, which is why I would recommend being on a high population server, because it can be annoying when you're fighting your way all the way across the map. You get there, you kill the boss, you have to fight your way all the way across the other way, you know, and you've already gotten all of the key points. So when you're going back, you want to go back fast. You're going home. You're going to turn those things in and go to the next area, right? So it's nice being on a high population server, because you're fighting your way back and there's people fighting their way back. You know, you're crossing waves here, and that's really nice, because that just means that you don't have to kill everything in sight just to get back and turn in a couple of quests. So I know that it might not seem like it's a really big deal to talk about servers, because, you know, you're starting out and you might just be inclined to pick the very first thing that you see, and I think now that, you know, if you're a new player, that it will just assign you a server. You know, it's not that big of a deal. But there are things to consider when you're wanting to be more planned and map this whole experience out and get the most out of the experience that you can. That's why I would recommend that you consider the different things that I mentioned, you know, and pick the server that you want, because overall you want to pick a server that you will enjoy. And so I've been really looking forward to this, because I wanted to see what it would be like to mix these two servers together. So I like square oat cereal. I haven't had breakfast yet, so I like square oat cereal. So I'm gonna get myself some cereal from my server. Just like my example, I'm gonna use the server that my friend has decided. Okay, so I'm gonna show you my two servers. Servers. No. They don't mix well.